This episode of the Extreme Ag Show is presented by Concept AgriTek.
Cowboy is the game changer, getting it in through the leaves and into the plant circulatory system. That's why this product is so effective at delivering both calcium and boron to plants at critical times when they need it the most.
When you visit Henderson Farms in Madison, Alabama, and take in the beautiful fields and landscape, it's easy to forget just how close you are to one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Madison is only about 10 miles from Huntsville, Alabama, a city with a special place in American history.
Huntsville is Rocket City, USA. What's really special about Huntsville, Alabama is I think we have something that's unique to only this area. We had the space program. We sent people to the moon. We sent people up in the shuttle. We have defense programs here, and we have industry here, and we have agriculture. After the Allied forces defeated Hitler, during the ending days of the war, Wernher von Braun and about 100 of his top scientists surrendered to the U.S. Allied forces. And so when they surrendered, their whole idea was to eventually somehow get to the United States. He wanted to continue his work in the rocket business. He ended up in Huntsville, Alabama. He helped develop, was a pioneer in developing the Saturn V, which is one of the most powerful rockets ever created. Different members of my family, in certain ways, had different kind of interactions with Wernher von Braun, from my grandfather liberating Trier, Germany, to my dad working at NASA and doing hand-in-hand work with Wernher von Braun through the early days of the space program. And so that brought lots of technology to this area. But I grew up out there. I got to meet a lot of people, got to meet astronauts. It's a full circle of technology that meets agriculture here. This is a family farm partnership. It started with my great-grandfather, then my grandfather, and my uncle's up there on the hill, Chad's up there on the hill, and here I am. So we're the three partners of Henderson Farms. I'm very fortunate to work with family, and I'll say that, and I'll say it, I'm very fortunate to work, play, fuss, and fight with family. At the end of the day, we're still family. We're not always gonna agree. So we all have things that we're really good at, which makes the family farm partnership really work. Oh gosh, if you want to know what I do here on the farm, you probably have to follow me around for a little bit. One of the biggest things, I do all the marketing, and it's not just a day-to-day deal. I tell people that typically, just say in a bushel of corn or a bushel of soybeans, I'll have at least 18 months of marketing into that bushel. And people's like, wow, what do you mean? And I'll give an example. Like right now, today, I am shipping out 23 harvested corn that I've rolled into the 24 market for basis and carry and to grab premiums. Okay, well, I've got a lot of the 24 crop that's been hedged and got positions on for several months. I've also, over the past couple months with the run up in prices, have hedged and secured percentages of wheat, corn, and soybeans for the 25 crop, and I'm already working on a deal for the 25 harvested wheat to carry that into January, February, March of 26. So we're in 24. So basically, I'm actively involved in 3 years of crop still and working on a 4th year of marketing. Marketing for a farm a lot of times means that you are creating a brand name for yourself. In agriculture, we're always trying to figure out a niche market, a way to make more profit. So how do we do that when we're growing the same crops as everybody else? We create a value-added product. And what I mean by that is corn. Let's take corn for example. I've got corn that's in my grain bins, been there since September, Industry standard is when it goes to market, they buy it on 56 pounds as a bushel of corn. That's what they buy. My corn coming out of the bins right now is running 62-pound test weight. I'm 6 pounds over, so every truck that leaves has an additional 6,000 pounds on it. Here in the South, we use a term called gravy money. That's what that is. I have a higher protein corn. My wheat, industry standard, may be 55, 56-pound test weight. I can give 62-pound test weight. Well, what does that let me do? That lets me ship wheat over to Rome, Georgia, to Grain Craft. That's a high-end meal that goes to high-end bakeries, which means a premium for my wheat. And so over the years, we've created a name brand for Henderson Farms that our products are high quality. So the marketing is not always about selling a bushel for a certain price. It's about selling your brand, creating that market, and then getting a better price for it. Urbanization here is a significant problem. Again, it seems like most of the country wants to come here and live and work. I mean, you can come live here and you're a short drive to Atlanta. You're a short drive to Nashville. You're a short drive down to most beautiful beaches in the world down on the Gulf Coast. But it comes at a cost. We lose agricultural land. There's a lot of absentee landowners in this area, and we farm some of that land. And typically when that land gets passed down to the next generation, it's to a generation that's never stepped foot in this part of the country. We've got a farm that's 300 acres, and they've been offered $80,000 an acre for it. That's multi-generational life-changing wealth. You can't fault someone for doing that. I try to keep us profitable in the face of all adversity that comes to us. And that's a big thing. When you're in an area where there's a lot of urban sprawl, you have to maintain a profitability, and you have to know that at any given minute you could lose acreage. And it's always in our face, but it's not a fear. We don't go to bed fearful of what we may not have tomorrow. We go to bed thankful for what we had today. And we deal with it. It's the American farmer. We revel in adversity.
Amino Grow is an exciting new product put out by Concept AgriTek. What we've seen is an increase in fruiting sites as well as branching, and this has equated to yield.
Spot less. Introducing the cleanup for tar spot, gray leaf spot, southern rust, and more. Novel next generation Adastrio fungicide from FMC broadens your spectrum and strengthens your residual foliar disease control. Protect your cornfields with a proprietary combination of 3 modes of action. Visit your FMC retailer or adastrio.ag.fmc.com to clean up this season.
In the heart of harvest, victory awaits. Introducing Demco's high-speed, all-wheel steer, combine header transport trailers. Crafted for strength, engineered for speed. Demco, tailored for victory.
Some farmers I know swear by a name. Say they'd never operate anything else. Well, here are a few names for my Fendt 900 tractor. Fuel Saver, Time Maximizer, Game Changer. I like those names.
BioHealth is a product by Concept AgriTek made up of a consortium of beneficial biology that actually colonize the plant and boost the plant's immune system from the inside.
In the foothills of North Carolina, it's harvest season. For Kevin Matthews and his daughter Danielle, high yields aren't the only reason to celebrate.
So today we're trying to wrap up soybean harvest. My daughter, she's looking after that side of the farming operation. We've been blessed. We got three kids, 2 girls and a boy, and so Danielle, she's more book smart, and she's a very hands-on person. She's cutting soybeans today. She runs the combine. She actually planted the corn that we're picking right now. She run the planter planting this corn.
I love running a combine. I really like running a planter, but fall's my favorite season, and being in the combine is fun. It's frustrating some days, but it's one of my favorite things to do.
They're cutting double crop soybeans. The double crop soybeans are planted in behind wheat. So we harvest the soft red winter wheat. Once it's harvested, immediately we're right behind the combines with the planters planting our soybeans, and we call them double crop soybeans. We're getting 2 crops in 1 year off of it. We harvested wheat, now we're harvesting soybeans.
And it's even more satisfying when you're harvesting a field that you planted and you get to see the end result coming in the combine.
She does a phenomenal job. If something happened to me today, I'm confident she could take the thing and run.
Well, I started running on my own when I was about 15, and then 15, 16, because I could drive myself to the combine. But I've always drove them and run them with my dad, probably since I was about, I don't know, 8 or 9. I would get there and drive. He wouldn't leave me by myself in there, but it's a little different though when you get by yourself. You got a lot to remember and look out for. Rock crop. The biggest challenge we have is we have all these patch fields, and you're spending 99% of your time cutting turn rows off. By the time you cut the turn rows, you have 5, 6 passes, and then you're done with the field. And then you gotta go cut more turn rows. Turn rows drag up the easiest. You got the most limbs in them. We go around our fields religiously and pick up limbs, trees, trim it back with a long arm mower, but all it takes is one storm and you have a bunch of limbs to pick up. So that's the biggest thing. You don't want to run it in here and stop the combine up or break something.
Another hassle of small patchwork fields means today Danielle has to cross a creek through a narrow path in the woods to get to the next field.
Nick, if you will, get right here where you can watch my auger. If it looks like anything's gonna hit, holler to stop.
It's a tight squeeze.
For a while, I didn't run the combine. We're expecting our first child, and I learned that motion sickness is apparently can happen to you early on, so I could not stand to watch Rose come in the combine. It made me sick as could be. So we're finally where we can run the combine, so I feel like I'm doing something now.
She's got her another generation on the way, due here in May. I ain't quite figured out how she's gonna have a baby in May, and got to run that planter. I guess I'll have to let her have off to have my first grandchild.
Kevin's gonna be in trouble. He's not gonna get nothing done now. So he's gonna be babysitting every day. He don't know it yet. Balance is hard. It's took time to figure out. I'm really about to learn about balance in life in the farm. Being out here, like a lot of days, we're harvesting 7 days a week. So sometimes I have to remind myself on a Sunday, like, you know, just let everything else rest and just enjoy being in the combine. A lot of people will just tell you, well, why don't you just take off work? You work for your family, just take off work. But I mean, the crops don't quit growing. So if I'm not out here doing it, Dad's gonna be the one out here doing it, and he don't need to be here every day. I mean, we're here working, we need to be helping him. So there's sometimes you just gotta say no, because that crop's still growing. It don't care if it's Sunday, it don't care if it's NC State's biggest football game. I mean, you still gotta get out there and work. The balance is difficult. It's not the easiest thing in the world to figure out, and we're still figuring it out.
Adding Raytheon into your in-fur application or even an over-the-top application around V3, V4 can do wonders in helping that plant navigate tough soil conditions as far as nutrient tie-up is concerned.
Control the toughest weeds with overlapping residuals. Lock in the longest-lasting control for your soybean fields. Authority brand herbicides such as Authority Edge herbicide and Authority Supreme herbicide combine the industry's most effective Group 14 and 15 active ingredients for a clean start and long-lasting residual control. Following up 14 to 28 days later with a post-application of Anthem Max herbicide through V6 establishes a heavy-duty, economical, overlapping residual program.
Claims are good and all, but I'm more interested in results. My Fendt Momentum planter delivers them. The only planter with automatic tire pressure adjustments, weight transfer across its frame, and inline center tandem wheels that eliminate pinch rows. It's just another way I know Fendt's got my bottom line top of mind.
Introducing Demco's newest dual auger grain cart design. Now equipped with the front folding auger and available in right side or left side unload options. Featuring Demco's corner auger design for optimal visibility. With a 22-inch vertical auger, unload at speeds of 600 bushels per minute. Demco. Outpace harvest time every time.
Sweet Success has been in the product lineup of Concept AgriTek for a while. We've seen it do a lot of things that you wouldn't think a blackstrap molasses product would do. Anytime you can increase the bricks content of your plant, the more healthy it's going to be.
Along the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, where Temple Roads farms, there are two distinct and vital forms of farming: oyster farming in the waters of the bay, and traditional farming on the fertile lands surrounding it. Both practices may seem worlds apart, but they share many similarities and common goals of sustainability and returning the bay to a healthy, thriving ecosystem. Today, Temple visits his old friend and oyster farmer, Jason Ruth, to learn more about oyster farming and its similarities with XtremeAg.
When you look at all these oysters, if you really look close at them, each one of them has a shell that it starts off, that it originally began with. Like there's the shells on every oyster you can see here. And that's how we kind of reproduce our oysters. We use the shells from our shucking operation to help propagate new oysters in the future.
So it's part of your new seed bank.
To put it in farming terms, we're taking, we're placing our seed directly on this and planting it on our farms.
This is our soil.
This is your soil. That's your soil right there. So with here, so if you look at this is oyster we planted. It originally started on that shell. There was probably a couple more there, and you notice how they grow long and skinnier.
Right.
Versus something which is going to be natural, like that, which is round. They're both the same age, but you can tell the difference. Look how, this one's a lot thicker. This one's a lot, it's fight. You can see it's trying to outgrow its competition, and it's focusing on its energy to get to that food source and that light. So it's the same principles.
So I mean, do you get to a point where you can, like for us, like if I plant my crop too thick, I'll end up with a tall, leggy plant with not as much fruit or seed.
Exactly. Well,
so
we'll
end up with the same scenario.
We'll end up with long, skinny oysters that are not desirable.
It's crazy how common what you do and what I do is so similar. You're taking the old oyster shell, making new bottom, fighting for all the same things that we're doing, and you're filtering the bed.
Correct.
I'm out here on the other end, planting cover crops, trying to do the right thing, under fertilize, and basically, not trying to do the wrong thing, trying to save the bay, and we're all making that same.
Exactly. One of the biggest challenges that we have here in the Chesapeake Bay is sedimentation. If you look at this tank, we're sucking the water right out of the water column here, out of the Kent Narrows here. And just in a few weeks' time, this tank has that much sediment has built up. That's the biggest challenge we face in the oyster industry right now. So if you talk about a little history here, there was 26 companies here, just like mine, that did the exact same thing that we did in the 50s and 60s. Right now, there's only one left, and that's myself. We're the last remaining year-round oyster processing facility in the state of Maryland. I mean, we had a sustainable harvest, natural harvest, no aquaculture involved right now, until the mid-80s of 5 million bushels per year. That's what we were harvesting here in the Chesapeake Bay, Maryland portion only. And in 2004, that harvest went down to 36,000 bushels of oysters.
Holy moly.
Okay.
I mean, it killed it.
It killed it. So that was in 2004. 2009, they revamped the aquaculture laws, infused lots of money into it to help seed money to help people get started. The aquaculture business kicked off. Let's fast forward to here, 2023. I mean, we have a natural harvest of about 650,000 bushels per year and a aquaculture harvest of about 300,000 bushels a year. So we're back, we're still 80% less of what we were before, but we're steadily increasing every year. People ask me all the time, what's the best solution to bring oysters back? I'm just like, well, really take 25 million people that live, breathe, and recreate on the Chesapeake Bay and move them somewhere else. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
So what's plan B? Plan B is better practices on our aquaculture and better practices on your farming techniques. Make homeowners and make communities more mindful of the runoff that they might cause.
The
and
impact that they have.
Correct, putting buffers out and stuff like that. That's all runs downstream. Everything runs downstream, and this is a cornerstone species, okay? Without this on the bottom, the water clarity in the bay goes down. Because you fix this cornerstone species right here, and you'll fix every other problem in the bay at the same time.
That's
how
incredible.
we do it.
And we can't do that unless we all work together.
Correct. All right, bud, what you been waiting for?
Wait, I hope they're fried. I'm gonna eat a raw oyster. I'll never eat raw oysters.
There's cocktail sauce. There's something on the... All right.
All right.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Nah. I'll take it fried all day long.
Actually, you gotta eat one more.
Oh, come on, really? If I fry them, is it not an aphrodisiac? It's only if it's raw?
Well, whatever you want it to be, really.
I'm out.
Go long for season-long foliar disease protection that starts at plant. Active ingredient flutriafol moves through your corn plants as they grow for inside-out protection from roots to tassel. A single at-plant application provides comparable performance in corn yield protection to that of VTR1 foliar fungicides against diseases like gray leaf spot, northern corn leaf blight, common rust, and more.
Some farmers I know swear by a name, say they'd never operate anything else. Well, here are a few names for my Fendt 900 tractor. Fuel Saver, Time Maximizer, Game Changer. I like those names.
When it comes to sustainable and regenerative farming, Kelly Garrett is always ahead of the curve. He's found an interesting piece of equipment that gives a new way of planting cover crops, a key part of his operation to protect his soil, improve its health, and reduce the need for synthetic inputs.
So this is an airway. Our neighbor Steve has one. We kind of like the looks of it, so we investigated it. because a couple things. Number one, trying to drill our cover crops in was kind of tedious, took too much time. The drill gave us trouble, things like that. Just broadcasting them and hoping for them to germinate, we really weren't happy with that. Evans came up with the idea of this airway for about 3 different reasons, really. Number one, we hope to broadcast our cover crops, broadcast our wheat, run the airway across it. There'll be a little bit of incorporation. They had a couple different options here on the back. It was kind of a chain drag sort of thing, but Steve, the neighbor, said that just balls up with corn stalks. So we chose to go with this rolling basket to get a little bit of incorporation, seed to soil contact, hoping to get better germination. We've talked to a couple other growers, watched some videos. We feel like that'll work. So the one reason is the winter wheat and the cover crops. Temple seeds his winter wheat in front of a vertical tillage tool, and that's how he gets his wheat to grow. Obviously, he's raising some 130, 140 bushel wheat. I don't know that we'll be able to do that, but all I'm suggesting is that it'll work. Second reason is the residue control. There's about 3 or 4 things that we try to do to help control the residue or deal with it. By chopping up this residue, we hope that it will break down faster. Again, that's a huge concern of ours going forward here, and we just need to get that residue to turn over faster. We believe that this will help us size and mulch that residue a little bit while still maintaining our no-till status because of the conservation and erosion control, because that really is of the highest priority. The third reason, and the one I'm a little bit most interested about because it's the one I am the least experienced in, is nutrient stratification. One of the downsides to no-till is that all of the nutrition stays in really the top inch or on top of the surface of the soil, and we'd like to get it a little deeper. This doesn't till the ground, but it pokes holes in the ground, hence the term airway. It pokes holes in the ground, so we are hoping that we can harvest the crop, broadcast the cover crops, plant food it before or after the airway, and then run the airway across, and then the spikes and the opening up of that, I really hope we can airway it before the plant food, and then we'll create the holes in the ground, and the plant food, the liquid, will get down in those holes and will defeat some of this stratification problem that we think persists, get some of that nutrition deeper in the soil profile for the roots to pick up. That's something that I'm excited about. We're gonna have to see how it happens. I'm interested to go out here and try this. This is one of our irrigated fields, 300 bushel environment. It's been corn for 2 or 3 years now. Tremendous amount of residue out here. Let's see how it breaks it up. Ideally, I hope I can size the residue, get it to break up, but I don't want to destroy the cow feed because that's also important to us for the winter feed for the cattle.
It changes everything, so says Indiana corn grower Nathan Davis about innovative Xyway LFR fungicide from FMC. Xyway brand fungicides are the first and only at-plant corn fungicides to provide unprecedented season-long inside-out foliar disease protection.
Precision is understanding the potential hidden within. Decoding the specific nutritional needs of your crop. Maximizing every nutrient and getting the most out of your yield. We break down the science in a way that works for your crops and for you. Apply less and expect more with Precision Crop Nutrition from Agro Liquid.
In the heart of harvest, victory awaits. Introducing Demco's high-speed, all-wheel steer, combine header transport trailers. Crafted for strength, engineered for speed. Demco, tailored for victory.
Cobalt, probably my favorite nutrient that I've learned about in the last recent years. In the plants world or in our agronomy world, cobalt, Kelly and I affectionately call it mother's milk. It's got a lot of, like beans for instance, soybeans, any legume fixing plants. Cobalt is really important in the enzyme fixing microbial world, like rhizobium and stuff. Cobalt's a key initiator in that, so it's really important in that crop. Other functions in all the other crops, so the slowing down of leaf senescence and late season, like corn right now, we're in fall, plants are dying, maturing, and helps that plant stay healthier longer. Helps with germination. We actually used it on some wheat seed this year and with seed treatment, and I think we've really got a better stand by using that in furrow. So it's really a neat element. Has a lot of plant health benefits with enzyme reactions within the plant. A couple of things we know about cobalt is it helps with drought resistance. So in drought areas, planting cobalt, the last couple of years have been pretty droughty around here in western Iowa. So adding that in has helped with water efficiencies and drought tolerance. The other thing is probably getting into the hormone side of it. It helps block that ethylene hormone, which is a trigger for the plant in its hormonal cycle. It's like, okay, ethylene, once it sees a spike in ethylene, it's like, okay, I'm stressed. Now what do I do? So it helps block that. Some enzyme reactions with cobalt that help suppress that, make the plant think, hey, we're all right. We're not stressed out at the moment. We've seen that with applications in the field, especially specifically beans, because I think, with that end fixing piece with the legumes and stuff, you see a better result. It just seems like we get better plant health out of those plants. And in that plant health with the cobalt, we tend to need less synthetic fungicides and plant health products as we apply them. Cobalt can be applied in two ways that I've applied it. One's the seed treatment with a couple products that we use. It's just, like soybeans, treat them with it. It's just a nutritional package, there's nothing else with it. And the other way is just a foliar application. I haven't found a dry product yet to go spread on the soil. It seems like the foliar application is the way to go with cobalt. So like a cobalt deficiency, I couldn't today tell you what it looks like. I don't think it's one of those more visible ones. Cobalt in the soil is not a highly available, highly known nutrient. So it's really become a foliar feed type seed treatment application. And it just seems like anytime we have a product with cobalt in it, we get a pretty nice response to the plant health, yield response. And so we've been adding a little bit more and more into our recommendations as years have gone by.